Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Talking Gears. My next guest is a massive Gears fan and avid community member known for his meticulous videos and data analysis. It's BChaps. I hope you all enjoy. Right, so, BChaps, we're live.
Alrighty.
Good to have you on here, man.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I think the last time we did this, you were interviewing me. It was quite a few years ago, actually.
Yeah, that was when you first became a mod on the forums, I think.
Yeah, way back then. I'm not a mod anymore, actually.
Yeah.
But that's when I was a moderator. That was about 2 or 3 years ago now. Yeah. That's when I think the coalition was still Black Tusk at the time, or they were transitioning into that period. We had a whole lot ahead of us back then. So you run a Gears community platform called Tac-Com, which you started about 3 years ago.
I started that with a couple other people when Gears Judgment was first coming out. So it was actually It was a while back, but we didn't really do much on it until about 3 years ago. Okay.
And you started off with a podcast featuring various community members, didn't you? I think you usually had about 2 or 3 guests at a time. People like Parasidian, Fell Blue Dodger.
Yeah, so it started out with, I don't know if you remember Nash's from the original Gears forums. So it was the what did they call themselves? The South Park Squad.
South Park Squad. Yeah, that was it. It was Tyre Devil, people like that, right?
Yeah.
Nash's,
so we had
Suda
and Biscuit Dough.
Biscuit Dough, yep.
Yeah, so Biz, Nash's, and I were the main ones doing that, and then Fell Blue Dodger came online, and really it started out as at that time Epic was doing their weekly developer stream talking about stuff, and then the next day we would do our 1 hour stream or whatever talking about our impressions of what we saw the previous time. So we would just discuss all of the recent Gears news, and then it stopped being less regular and news recappy and turned into some more discussion panel type things.
Yeah, because I used to sit there with my cup of tea or a gin and tonic after doing my uni work and just get my Gears fix from you guys. That was on a weekday at uni, if I wasn't going out, that would be my fix. That's what I would do. And then you progressed to community interviews.
Yep.
I think your first one was Grex.
Yeah, I believe Grex was my first. It was either Grex or Parasidian.
How was that? What made you want to do that? What made you want to? Because no one had really done that before. You were the first to kind of branch out and do it.
Yeah,
kick off a trend.
I guess so. I had been involved in the Gears community for quite a while, and I'd say it was around 2010-ish that I started being more active, and I started to get to know people a lot better, and you start to realize, these aren't just people sitting in some random person sitting on the other side of the world. It's these people have their own personal lives, they have personality, and I got to know some people and became really good friends with some of them. So it was okay, I got to know some people and become really good friends. Why don't I show these people's personalities to everyone else and start showing off that we are all actual people and you should try and get to know everyone that you're playing with.
Because Gears 2, but to get between Gears 2 and 3, that was that kind of 2010, 2009. That was a real golden era, wasn't it? With the forums, you had Gears of Twitter.
Yeah.
And you'd go on the forum every day and you'd recognise people that were posting. You'd know the names. You had the banners. I help the community. It was a real tight knit community, wasn't it? It felt like a family almost.
Yeah, I really enjoyed those old Epic forums and even the Black Tusk and early Coalition forums. I really enjoyed.
They were a real lot of fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed those. It felt like a nice community. Recently, it seems maybe I've just faded away from the forums a lot. I don't go.
I think a lot of us have. I think all those people sort of did, didn't they? I mean, I guess everyone sort of grew up a bit, maybe. I mean, you're going into your 20s. It was that same sort of age group.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we've got Twitter now and Reddit and all these other different platforms that maybe we just sort of branched out a bit and things change, don't they?
That's mainly it for me. Is Twitter and Reddit are the main ones that I'm using right now. I go on the forums almost daily and just I'll read a thread or two, but I almost never post on there.
It's a lot better now that they filter out, they have the top rated threads, isn't it? And which, the latest ones, it's a lot easier to kind of segregate what you want to find. It's a lot better than it used to be. But yeah, I suppose because back then you're fixed. If you wanted to talk about Gears, you'd go to the forums, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
But now it's Twitter or whatever. You just reply to someone. Or you go on Reddit or whatever it might be, or Facebook, or you've got your party, or you're on Skype, or you're on Discord. Especially Discord, actually.
Yeah, I go on Reddit if I have a significant thing to post, that like requires a lot of space. But other than that, I found that Twitter just seems to be the best place for me to go and talk about Gears.
And it has been for some time, isn't it? In gaming in general, like we've all kind of moved over to there.
Yeah, it took me until, once again, around the time Judgment was coming out, before I actually started adopting and using Twitter. But ever since then, I've absolutely loved it.
So, from your interviews, you went off to your Horde guides and your new series, which is Gears Recap, which you produced alongside Jess. We'll talk about the Easter egg stuff soon. Jess actually produced the GearsFeed logo, by the way. She's awesome, so shout out to her. She's so easy to work with, man.
Yeah.
She produced the last one as well, so she's been like my graphics crutch, basically, for like the last few years. You know when you try and build a platform, right, all by yourself, and at the end of the day, you're just like, oh, I'm not a jack of all trades, right? I need someone for this, I need someone for that, and you kind of just give into it and you need to get outside help. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, so we started out and I was doing everything for Tac-Com. Actually, so Monty, or Evil One, he created the original stream overlay that Dodger Nashes and I used for Tac-Com. And then I created the logo, which was absolutely terrible. And then when we sort of refreshed around the time Ultimate Edition was coming out, I posted on Twitter and said, hey, does anyone have a logo idea? And Jess posted hers. I really liked it. And
I remember that.
Yeah, we started work. There were a bunch of really good submissions, but something about Jess's stood out. And
it was just simple, wasn't it? I think that's what it was. It was simple and it had character.
Yeah, and it was just like we started talking and started playing, and it just sort of snowballed and became like, yeah, you want to do graphic stuff? If like I can start doing videos on Tac-Com and you can start doing graphics. So that's how it's.
Oh, that's amazing. So that's how your relationship with her started out, was through that Tac-Com logo submission. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, like
I didn't know that.
Well, she just sort of submitted it, and then like I was doing Gears and Beers at the time, and she was interested in getting in on that. So I was kind of that like middleman to like help her get involved in Gears and Beers. And so we started playing, and then she started working on video stuff with me, and eventually that Gears Recap series, I eventually was like, hey, yeah, I don't need to do this. I can do some other videos. Do you want to take over this series? And so she started doing her own voiceover work and doing all those videos from scratch herself. But yeah, like Tac-Com would not be what it is today without like her. I did a lot of.
She produces some good videos, man. Like really good videos. The voiceovers are great.
Thanks. Yeah, I do a lot of work on those, but like without her graphics for me to like do the animations with, like it would not have happened.
Back to the aforementioned Horde guides you produced.
Yeah.
They were extremely well thought out, like meticulous videos, and you really started hitting some impressive numbers around Gears 4's launch. I think hitting 20-30k views a video, which in Gears content creation terms is it's fair game.
Yeah, so it was really me and a couple of my friends wanted to play Horde when the game first came out, because we realized, hey, that's how we get the XP, that's how we level up. So that's what we wanted to do. We started playing Horde. And it seemed like not that many people were doing very well, and like we were easily doing insane difficulty. So I was like, why don't I put together a little strategy thing to like show what we do? And that kicked off really well. People really enjoyed that video. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll do one for each class. And
yeah, and expanded on from there.
Yeah, and it's funny that at the time, so the Tac-Com channel, it's monetized right now. I think you have some, or you were looking at monetizing some stuff.
I think it was you need 1,000 subscribers or something, right?
Yeah, but
and I have about 900, and I used to be monetized, and they stripped that from me, and I've got nothing to show for it. Anything that I earn has gone into the abyss.
Yeah,
nothing.
But like
buggers, mate.
I've been doing this for I don't know how many years, and I maybe have made like $100 or $200 off of it, which really I
had about 20 quid, enough for a few coffees. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, and that's after
I really like coffee.
That's after years, so you're really not making much. And I'm just putting that money over to the side anyways. I'm gonna spend that when like Jess, Dodger, Schwartz, and I like all go to another event. I'll use that Tac-Com money like on us at that event. But like at the time when I was doing all those Horde videos that were getting all those views, we weren't monetized at all, because I was just like, I don't want to be doing this for the money, and I don't want people to...
No, definitely not.
It's like, I don't want people to think that I am, so I made that, like, decision not to monetize. It was actually talking to Liam at one of the events. He was like, yeah, you guys should totally do it. I was like, all right, fine. Because it's like I said,
I suppose at the end of the day,
I'm not doing it for the money. And, like, that's a good thing, because you don't really...
Oh, it's brilliant, yeah.
Unless you're posting daily videos, you're not making any money off of it.
No, definitely not. Oh, it's pocket change, isn't it, at best?
Yeah.
Pocket change. I think over all the videos I produced, maybe I made about £18 maybe. I didn't even look at it because it was just nothing. And then as soon as I had something, they said that I hadn't got enough subscribers, and that was that.
Also, all right, I love how like we have small enough channels that like it doesn't matter if we talk about this whole like monetization thing.
Yeah.
But like if you start talking to some of the other people, like they will. A lot of YouTubers who are like actually making money doing this will not want to talk about that topic at all. Yeah.
It's quite a touchy subject, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you incorporated quite a lot of math as well in those videos. Was it hard to keep up with the ever-changing meta for Horde and continue to refresh your tactful approaches that you had?
So it was pretty easy. Well, it was really tedious, but it was also pretty easy to get the stats that I wanted. It just took a lot of time, and I had a lot of help from other people filling in for me. But I put together a ton of spreadsheets, getting all the like damage values and health.
So in depth.
Yeah, it was crazy, and I didn't really mind it that much. But as you said, I pretty much put out the videos with, okay, here's all the stats. Based on these stats, it makes me want to play this way, and this looks like this is probably the optimal thing to do. And then the next title update, the Coalition would, like, it's almost like they watched my videos and said, oh, wow, he found a flaw, let's fix that. And all my numbers became irrelevant, and I had to do it again. And at first I didn't mind it, and then I started to become a theme where they kept patching stuff after I pointed it out.
I remember you venting your frustrations a bit online.
Yeah.
I remember that.
So at that point, that's really, and Gears was getting pretty old at that point, but it was really that point where I was like, all right, no, I'm done getting these stats. I'm not doing this anymore.
So Horde inevitably is going to be coming to Gears 4. I think we can all say that's very likely.
I think most people would agree that that's probably Horde that we saw in that picture that
I was about to talk to you about that, the leaked image that Phil Spencer tweeted. And it looks like he's playing that someone's playing Gears 5 or a variant of it of Horde in Gears 5.
I think. It looks.
Have you got any takeaways from that image that you think?
Oh man! All right, so I posted on Reddit with my takeaways from it. I'm trying to remember.
I saw that. Actually.
Trying to remember what I said.
Talking about. I think you were talking about the icons. You thought you might saw something with those.
So I think the most obvious thing for me, at least, was there was a fence. Well, they were fighting a Kestrel
at the front.
So it was like, okay, seems like a boss fight in Gears 5. There was a fence going across, which looks like, okay, there's probably fortifications. It was in a pretty reasonable spot, though, so I'm not sure if that's like a movable fortification like Gears 4 have, or maybe fortifications were so exploited in 4 that they went back to the Gears 3 style, where it's like, here's where you can put a fence if you want to put one. So
because it looked like the player had like some accolades or some sort of like perks that were on a cooldown period as well.
Yeah, and that was...
I'm not sure.
That was my other big takeaway from that. It's almost like that MOBA-style class-based thing.
Right.
Which I got pretty excited about because I like class-based co-op stuff. I find that the variety of what you can do in those is awesome. And I like that Gears 4 was class-based, but the classes weren't that different from each other. Besides their skill cards and their starting weapons, it didn't really seem like they were that different from each other, and I would really like something to help them stand out a bit more.
So as long as you had an engineer or something and there's 4 others, you'd always be okay, wouldn't you, I guess?
Yeah.
Whereas you'd like more of a reliance on like each individual class in the next game. There are like 3 things for Horde in the next game that you'd like to see, like just 3 things maybe like you really would like to push for with Gears 5, like to improve on the current experience we have now, or do you think it's really peaked?
I love what they've done with the fortifications in 4. So I'd like to see them kind of expand that fortification system a little bit. I'm not necessarily sure how. It's like adding some more fortifications or letting you choose what level it's going to be. But I think the like choosing which ones you want and where you want them system is awesome. So I'd like to see them expand that. I like the class system. So adding more classes and making each class a little bit more unique would one, drive a lot of replay value. It's like, okay, I need to figure out which combination of classes works best and how I want to use these classes to like interact with each other. That would be awesome. I know Cherry Quench, another YouTuber and streamer who does a lot of Horde stuff. He really wants a lot more classes and class abilities type stuff, it sounds like. And I'd say the last big thing I'd want changed is, well, not necessarily changed, but like added to is customization. So like changing the types of enemies that spawn, or the countdown between waves, how we had, what was it, Mania or something like that, where there was no countdown between waves. Like the ability for the players to actually like toggle those settings themselves for private matches. So yeah,
that'd be nice.
Expanding classes, expanding fortifications, and expanding customization options. Those are pretty broad topics, but I'd say those are my 3 things.
That would definitely improve it. And obviously, apart from that image, we haven't had anything, have we, in terms of news, Gears 5 related? I mean, we've obviously dissected the hell out of it, as we've had nothing, literally, not zilch. I mean, we're starving out here, aren't we? We haven't had any... The marketing campaign this time round...
Yeah.
It's been so different from what we saw with Gears 4. I mean, this time on the Gears 4 cycle, the beta was announced and we were playing it a month later, but I can't see a beta for Gears 5 coming out, can you? Or at least it'd be a massive shock, but maybe.
No, so I mean, with Gears 4, it's the franchise changed from Epic over to Microsoft, and when that happened, you knew like, okay, they're working on Gears 4. So they pretty much came right out and announced it at the beginning. And that was if you look at any other game, they announced Gears 4 really early on compared to...
2015, I think. Not even that, 2014? When did they take over? It was really early, wasn't it? Was it 2013? No, it was. That's when Judgment was released.
Yeah, I think it was I'm trying to think of when I graduated.
When the merge was
college.
announced. Because Black Tusk were working on an IP before that, weren't they? But that got canned. But
like because of that transition, Gears 4 was announced so early, and that marketing campaign got so stretched out that it's making the Gears 5 marketing campaign seem really like long. And it's like, oh my god, why don't we have anything by now? We had this for 4, but that's because 4 was just so stretched out.
Yeah, definitely. It was a real slug, wasn't it? Like
my guess
almost had a dead end to it, because like you had just so much content stripped out over time. When Game Informer were releasing these articles, weren't they, every week on it?
Yeah.
Sometimes
really
they were a bit of a letdown, and sometimes they were good, and people would... It's just a real long train of content that, you know, when we got the game came out, it felt like you'd already played it a million times. But
my guess is we're gonna get a couple, like maybe 1 or 2 drops or hints at something before E3, and then E3 is going to be where they really kick off the marketing campaign through launch.
Yeah, I think they're going to have a massive Gears segment, because obviously we haven't got Sony there either, have we, this year?
No.
Or EA, I think. So obviously, because with the next consoles in mind, I'm guessing a lot of them are delaying themselves, but Microsoft's obviously going to have a massive presence at E3, so I'm guessing they're going to have I could imagine them having at least a 20-minute segment for Gears, because they've got the tactics to talk about as well, obviously. Gears 5, if there is a new mode, if there is a battle royale, God knows what it might be, there's going to be something new. The campaign they've got to show off, if they do want to show off multiplayer on the esports side. There's a lot to reveal, isn't there, in a short space of time.
Yeah, I think there's got to be a beta for Gears 5.
You think June they announce a beta, maybe in a week's from there? Like, oh hi guys, this is Gears 5. By the way, the beta's out tomorrow. I mean, it's happened before with other games.
Yeah, I mean, that was Ultimate Edition, I think, did that. It's, hey, we're announcing Gears 4. By the way, we're also announcing Ultimate Edition. By the way, the beta's live now.
Yeah. That was massive.
I don't know if they'll do that for 5, but I feel that they do need a beta.
Yeah, it would be brave to go in, fresh.
Yeah.
To launch the game.
And they made a really big deal about in past games that Epic did, and I think Coalition did as well, that they wanted to have a true multiplayer beta, not the glorified demos that a lot of studios are calling betas. They want something out there soon enough that they have time to take it back, digest the information.
The Gears 4 beta was an alpha, wasn't it, essentially? They did say that, but they called it a beta because it's what everyone's accustomed to and familiar with.
Yeah.
So, with bearing all that in mind, do you think there's any chance the game could get delayed? Or do you think that's not happening? Because it all just seems...
Delayed?
Do you think it's possible? I have to ask, because I've not heard any talk about it, but it's happened before. It happened with Gears 3.
So...
It could happen again. I know everything's different now, but Microsoft do delay their titles. They've done it a lot. Do you think it's possible?
Delayed, I believe, compared to... Obviously, they have a target date internally. It has not been announced yet. They have their 2019 is what they've said publicly, but internally they probably have some date like September 9th, or I don't even know if that's a Tuesday, but they probably have some date set. That might slip a little bit, and they might have to...
Surely you don't want to release it, alongside all the other big titles.
Yeah.
You've got your Call of Duties and whatever else.
But I don't think that we have to worry about them slipping 2019. They've been working for a while. They have their weekly developer streams, and every stream they make multiple references to this is the year, 2019 is the year.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point, actually.
Yeah, I don't think they would be saying that multiple times every week if there was a chance of it slipping.
Yeah, okay, that's a good take. On that image that Phil Spencer originally released, I wanted to see River. I mean, my Gears 2 River propaganda has been unmatched on this platform, mate. I have been spreading stuff about that for ages. Do you think it's a good map, objectively speaking? And would you like to see it return?
I absolutely loved River in Gears of War 2.
Yep. Got such good memories. Christmas Day.
Let's see. Rifles became more powerful in 3, and you could see it didn't make the cut to go into 3. Rifles.
There was a version of it they made, wasn't there?
Like
a night version that never made the cut.
Yeah, and so Epic made that decision. Then the Coalition got it. They apparently grayboxed it and tried it, and it didn't make their cut either. That's 2 companies that have both tried it and said it doesn't work for their version of the game, which are the versions with the more powerful rifles. I'm guessing that has something to do with it. So I'm inclined to trust them on that, but I did really enjoy that map, so I'm inclined to trust them that it doesn't work. But if they could do something to make it work, I know a lot of people really like the map.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think they'll just give in just to release it for the community breakdown when it does come out, if it ever does?
Right. God,
man,
I know it takes a ton of work.
Video just screaming. I would just start a tour of the map, and I would just scream from start to finish, and then I would upload it.
Release the grey box version of it that they did with no textures or anything.
Just leave it. Just let me upload something. Let me get excited about something. I have so many memes and gifs prepared for the moment, for the day that River is revealed.
Yeah,
you have no idea. So the Gears campaign, obviously, all about taking risks. I mean, it's pretty common, knowledge now that we had a Gears title from the Coalition with Gears 4, and they showed us they can make one, and most criticism stemmed from the narrative that they played it safe with Gears 4, and rightfully so. Do you think we're going to see something entirely different with Gears 5, and how far out of their usual depths do you think the Coalition are willing to go?
Yeah, and to start off is it is crazy that this is that was their first Gears game that they made. It definitely wasn't my favorite campaign in the series, but when you step back and realize, holy crap, this company had not made a Gears game before, and they just made this, and it felt like a Gears campaign It wasn't my favorite, but it was a solid Gears campaign. It's like, okay, yeah, these guys know what they're talking about. They can do this.
Yeah, it had everything a Gears campaign would have, wouldn't it? The emotion and the story. It was perfect in that sense.
Yeah. So
and there were things that were missing, but
I was gonna say they talk about their like that was them crawling, showing they can do it. Then they get to walk and they get to run, right? So it's so exactly. What are they?
One step at a time.
What are they gonna do? Some people have said like open world type stuff. I don't see that.
They've confirmed there'll be open world elements and that it is a much bigger, bolder world. And I think is it Greenberg? Did he say his name? I can't remember. He says there's a lot more open world aspects. He said that in June last year.
And I'm wondering if. So I was talking to someone on Reddit about this or Twitter about this the other day, and I'm wondering if that's when they showed off the skiff, and it was going across that river.
Some sort of fast travel or a way to roam around somewhat untethered, right?
That reminds me of the like Centaur tank part in Gears 2 around the New Hope facility area.
Yeah, that was frustrating.
But it's like it's sort of open worldish. Like there's some different paths you can take, and it's a big open area. But really, there's a pretty linear path you're trying to take. And
I was speaking about this with Razor's Edge. Actually, he was saying how he doesn't think it'll be like districts that are separate where you can roam around or have a variety of approaches. It will still be the linearity that Gears is, known for.
Yeah, and part of me likes that linearity, but talking with my buddy Schwartz, I really always love the point he brings up of like, let's design a Gears campaign that is not a bunch of hallways making a linear path, but instead make it like, because right now we have a bunch of hallways connected to rooms. It's instead of that, let's make almost like towns that are connected. So it's like, or buildings that are connected. So it's like we have this entire building. You can go wherever you want in there and take your own approach for how you want to tackle that area.
Maybe talk to different civilians and gain like knowledge, or you know what I mean, like law knowledge or whatever. Or maybe
that would
like
be
people
cool.
that
Making
are stranded. That would be cool. But just a little, the little things, right?
Making it more open world.
Experience more authentic, right?
Yeah, but I mean, the main thing I would want is just like, I don't want each encounter to be linear. I don't care if I go from encounter to encounter, but like I want to be able to approach each encounter from a different angle, or like if I have these two buildings that I'm fighting in, I want to be able to go up to the second or third floor, walk over, and then go down the stairs behind them and flank them. I want to have options in order to like move around anywhere in the building like that.
Yeah, so a variety of approaches with the same end goal, right? I think like a bottleneck, right? Sort of the same thing.
Yep.
So do you think like we've got games like The Division and like Assassin's Creed? It won't be. I don't think it'll be that extensive, will it? It'll be a lot more just different areas. Where you have a variety of options to progress to the same end goal. Kate, I'll ask this to everyone. Do you think she's evil or corruptible, or do you think she really will, as everyone seems to predict, that she'll turn bad and fight with the swarm, or is that too cliche for you, too poetic?
Yeah, it's part of it is like that's way too predictable that she's gonna become like the new swarm queen.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's so entirely predictable. It's really hard for me to tell if that's gonna happen or not. I have a feeling that at the end of the Gears 5 campaign, Kate will be sort of like freed of that. So like she's getting edged closer and closer, and then like by the end, like it's completely out of her head, and like
now she's like, gloves are off for Gears 6. Let's have you, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously, do you have any theories of your own? There's one that someone posted to me the other day. I talked about this yesterday, and he reckons, it's Donald Carr. He reckons they'll split time between Kate's story, that is the creepy horror elements of Gears 1 and 4, and then the JD and Marcus story will branch off and all out war to feel like Gears 2 and 3. Do you think we'll be able to play as multiple characters and not just Kate? Because they haven't confirmed that it's just Kate, have they? So
I've seen a couple people post things similar to that, and I would enjoy that. I liked how they did that at the beginning of Gears 3, and I was disappointed that they didn't keep that going throughout the game. I don't know. The Coalition keeps saying that, like, Kate is the main protagonist in this game.
Yeah.
They don't say, like, she's one of the main protagonists. They keep saying she is the main protagonist. So, I don't know. I would love it if we were split between the two different parties, especially because it sounds like they're splitting up, and the trailer makes it look like they're splitting up. But I don't know.
Talking about the main protagonist, let's talk about the main antagonist. So, last game it was the Speaker, and he had this brilliant, like, mysterious reveal, and I think it was going to be like a real brilliant enemy, and then we saw him again, one boss battle, and that was it. He was done.
Yeah. And then
I was hoping there'd be a lot more to the character.
We fought that big giant thing at the end too.
Yeah, whatever the hell that was meant to be.
Yeah.
The Swarm. Yeah. So, what do you think about that? Do you think we'd need more of like a, you know, like compared to Scourge and Ram, or he wasn't really that. He didn't leave much of an impact on me personally. What do you think about the antagonist for the next game?
I think we need one, but and I was really disappointed with what the Coalition did in Gears 4 for it. But then as I thought about it, I started to realize, you know, the Swarm are like this new thing that's just starting out. Nobody has really, like, gotten up and proven themselves and taken over that role as a leader yet.
Yeah, because they're still in their primitive stages, aren't they, right?
Yeah. And, like, so it looks like the Speaker was starting to, like, become that person. He was the one who has taken the most initiative and has sort of, like, absorbed into that leaderish role. But then he was killed too soon. There's a decent... do we know what the time difference is between Gears 4 and Gears 5?
I don't. I think it's a few years, or maybe just I think it's just a changing season. Because obviously it's winter now, isn't it? And It was summer or autumn in Gears 5. So... in Gears 4, so it's definitely winter now, so time has definitely passed. I think it's a good few months. I'm not quite sure.
JD's
or
got
a few years.
JD's got his facial hair. He's got that like wound on his arm.
I think it's a few years. I think it's at least. I think it's a fair bit of time. Obviously, he's got his arms completely.
So I was thinking it was a few years. I was thinking it was a few years. So now the Swarm is at least a few. Right? We should.
Why don't we know this? This is embarrassing. But I think it's a few years.
But the Swarm is now at least a few years old. They've had some time to develop, and maybe that leader has internally come up, and we might be introduced to somebody who's the new big bad for this one.
Yeah, it definitely is, actually, because Kate looks so much more mature. If you look at her compared to the way she was in Gears 4, she looks more of a woman now as opposed to a young girl.
Yeah.
It's definitely quite a significant amount of time has passed. And obviously, Gears 4 was over the period of one day, wasn't it? I think in this game, it's not going to be like that anymore. It was like one night, wasn't it? Like one long night.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to be a longer one.
Next game. Definitely. If you had a theory of your own, like if you had anything, like if you had to predict like something you think will happen, like is there anything you can pull out the hat there, like anything that you positive might happen or you'd like to see happen in the campaign?
I mean, the only thing that I'm like positive at all about is that we will be going to New Hope facility. Because we kind of saw that in the trailer.
Saw that in the trailer. Oh, that was incredible.
Yeah, so that got a lot of people really hyped.
So excited to go back. I mean, friends of mine that aren't really that into Gears, like they saw that and they were like, "Oh my god, I've got to pick this game up!" Like, because everyone remembers Gears 2. Like that campaign, like was just incredible.
The other thing so I don't really have any big predictions, but the one thing that we did a big campaign discussion video a while back, and one of the things that my friends and I predicted, which looks like it actually is the case now, is that the Swarm, how at the end, near the end of the campaign, they sort of took over Jin, that Jin bot with the spike.
They did. Like they sort of corrupted it, right?
Yeah.
So they could have an effect on the DBs.
And now, so it looks like the Swarm are starting to take over those DBs, as you can see by like the DR1 that has been completely taken over by the Swarm, and stuff like that. And it's like, so it seems like the DBs were introduced in this game, and we're maybe sort of starting to side with them now in Gears 5, or with the COG is starting to side with these main characters now, but the DBs are being taken over by the Swarm, so we're still
you don't want to be fighting with a DB in Gears 5 and all of a sudden you turn to your left and he's been corrupted by a Swarm and he's trying to take your head off, do you? No. So that can provide some interesting like gameplay elements.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the we're talking about the marketing campaign, how different it is with Gears 5. Hopefully, because in Gears 4 they revealed a lot, didn't they, story-wise?
Oh my god. Yeah.
Like, a lot. I mean, you obviously had the option not to watch it if you didn't. Some of us can't resist the urge, but a lot was out there before we played the game.
Yeah, Phil Blue Dodger, I don't know if he's sticking to this now, but after Gears 4 came out, he said when Gears 5 starts coming out, he's not watching any of the trailers because...
Complete blackout, yeah.
Coalition didn't like us too much after we did it, but Dodger and I made that video discussing all of the spoilers from Gears 4 and how
I remember
their marketing just kind of ruined the campaign for us. It showed like everything.
Yeah, it was quite a provocative video, wasn't it?
Yeah, God.
But that was it. It was a lot. And then was it the prologue, or it was just like that was released before as well. I think the whole thing, or at least we knew a lot before we went into that game, definitely. And I think it'll be different with this one.
Yeah, it's like we knew Marcus got taken before the game came out. We knew that Marcus.
We knew about the speaker.
We knew about the speaker. We knew that Marcus survived before the game came out.
Yeah, with the coffee. Oh god, I forgot about that.
We knew a lot. We knew that we would even see Marcus, which like. Yeah,
welcome home, James. That one. Yeah. When he was that was a cool reveal, though. To be fair, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was
really cool. So I'm going to go to obviously a hot topic right now, quite a polarizing one. Is Battle Royale, sorry. Do we need it in Gears? If so, how could it work? Do you think it will it happen? Would you be open to playing it? What are your thoughts on that?
If there is one, I would probably play the crap out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need one? Absolutely not. Do I think it will happen? Absolutely not.
Everyone, it's the current trend, isn't it? Everyone is
so
gunning for it. Well, half the community are gunning for it, and the other half seem to be really vehemently opposed to it.
In order for a battle royale to work, there's a few main things you need. One is you need a large player base, meaning you're going to be releasing your game for free, probably.
Well, it's on the Xbox Pass now, isn't it? That'll help a bit.
That'll help a bit, but I don't think that would do it. I also see it. Well, let me get to the other main thing a battle royale needs. See, another big thing a battle royale needs is a variety of weapons, primarily ranged weapons, and Gears doesn't have that variety with the weapon balance that people would want. Like, Gears has some really cool weapons, but they were designed around the arena shooter standpoint, not around a battle royale system. And I just don't know. I don't see a lot of it working.
That's a very good point.
The amount of the intensity of a Gears map and how detailed it is, and all the mechanics of like how you navigate around all the back end stuff that's needed. Having that many people, even if it's not 100, if it's like 50, that's still 10 times or 5 times as many players as they've ever had on a Gears map.
I mean, the most they could probably do is like sort of a mini battle royale, or like, I don't know, 30, 40 players. But even then, you can't imagine it, can you, in Gears?
No.
I mean, 5v5 was enough, let alone putting 40 of us in a same map together.
I just don't see it working. Could they make a Gears Battle Royale type thing? Yes, but it should be a standalone.
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to do it, they've got to do it right, haven't they? Like, they've got to knock it out of the park. They can't just release some sort of mediocre battle royale. If they're going to do battle royale, they have to do it well, and it has to be the best at what it is if they're going to stand a chance.
Yeah, and I saw a thing about Apex Legends that really resonated with me, and that's the approach they took was they wanted to make a great battle royale game, so they did it. They didn't want to make a great game and then have a battle royale game mode in it.
That's a very good point. Yeah, it's a salient point.
Yeah, so like if Gears 5 should not have a battle royale. If they want a Gears battle royale, make it its own game.
Because we saw with Call of Duty Blackout, Call of Duty Black Ops 4, they introduced battle royales of Call of Duty, but people forgetting that they didn't have campaign in Black Ops 4. I don't think it was just multiplayer and battle royale, so they had so much more time to focus on that segment. Whereas with the Coalition, people are expecting a standout campaign that takes a hell of a lot of risks, or something different to Gears 4. Obviously, you've got the Horde community, and you've got the esport, the versus, and all the esports scene that's going on with that.
Yeah.
I mean, surely expecting a battle royale on top of that it's just you can't.
The way I see things
is it?
The Coalition is split into a couple groups. They've got their Gears Tactic groups, which, I mean, it probably takes a decent amount of people to work on that. Gears Pop, I don't imagine taking... I mean, it's definitely, like, not easy, but it's not taking the bulk of their people. And then they've got their big one, which is Gears 5, where they've got an in-depth campaign, an in-depth multiplayer, and an in-depth Horde system, where multiplayer and Horde are both continuing to be supported after launch. And, like, that's taking up a lot of effort for them. To add another segment that's dealing with Battle Royale support is huge. Or if they were to make a standalone one, that would have to be another team that's dedicated to creating and supporting post-launch a giant Battle Royale game.
Yeah, you'd have the whole of Vancouver working on Gears, wouldn't you, at that point?
Yeah, that's
It'd be ridiculous.
One of the things I really would love to see, and I posted this on Twitter and got a pretty good reaction, is like a RPG style game. Like, I used The Division as an example. I want to see The Division, but Gears themed. And like
a horror element, like Stranded sort of thing you're on about.
Yeah, I called it Gears of War Stranded. So
there we go.
I'd love to see that, and that would be...
There's so many options for the universe, isn't there? The Gears universe, like to expand on.
That
always will be.
That would be the Coalition continuing with their different themes. They're doing the mobile game. They're doing the tactics one. Now they can go into RPG. I don't think they're going to do it. I would love it, but I don't think they're going to, because of the point of they have the small team working Pop, a smallish team working Tactics, and then the bulk of their team working Gears 5. I think it would have to be a really big team in order to make a RPG style game, and I just don't think that they would have the manpower to support that. Maybe they do.
In terms of Gears, do you think the standard AAA model will cut it with Gears? Campaign, multiplayer, Horde, we've had before. Do you think it'll be enough?
Yeah, I do.
You think so? And I think we'll definitely receive some sort of free-for-all mode or wingman or something with a lot of players where you can just jump in on your own. I think that's one of my biggest problems with Gears 4. I just wanted to jump in a game on my own and just play. Do you think that'll happen? So,
wingman is hit or miss for me. It was my Wingman and Guardian toggled as my two most played modes in Gears 2.
Yeah, Gears 2, yeah, of course.
Gears 3, I didn't play Wingman that much, and like it got killed off, really. There's a lot of support of people asking for Wingman.
I think the pace of Gears 2 worked so well with Wingman, though, didn't it?
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of people asking for it, but if they brought it, it would probably die off pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Free-for-all, on the other hand, is the one that like almost everybody's asking for. A lot of people would love it. The only issue I really hope that they bring it, but the only issue I see with it is I don't know how they will balance it well.
Spawns are obviously the biggest factor, aren't they, with any free-for-all?
Spawns are a big factor, but with Gears, you have this system with down but not out, and if you keep that in for free-for-all, it makes kill stealing really easy, which
they removed it in Judgment, didn't they, though? Was it instant kills in Judgment?
Yeah, so they removed it in Judgment, and the thing...
That worked quite well.
It did, but that game was designed around a no down but not out system, so all the weapons were balanced for that. If you have Gears 5 where all of the weapons are balanced for the down but not out system, and then you have one game mode that doesn't have that, the weapons are going to feel really strange. Like, being able to two-shot someone from a distance with an Asher and have it kill them instead of downing them. Or shoot somebody with one pistol shot and then switch to your long shot and body shot them from across the map. And they die instead of just going down. Like, it really throws off... I want them to do it. I really do.
Yeah, I think they will, because Node Zero even posted a poll, was like, would he prefer Wingman or Free-for-All?
Oh yeah,
so he's obviously.
I imagine Free For All dominated that one.
I think it did. Yeah, I think it was about 60-40. I was surprised about the amount of people that voted for Wingman. Actually.
Yeah, that I would imagine like an 80-20 on that.
What do you think about the sensitivities argument? Quite a few pro players I've seen, they want to reduce the sensitivity. Of course, with 30s, they think it's too high for the competitive scene. Would you like to see it reduced, or do you think it's fine as it is?
So,
the more freedom, the better for the player.
I guess I don't really have a preference, but I'll say two things on sensitivity. One is I hate the hyper bounce. Like, I really dislike the hyper bounce. And number
too much,
two,
hard to follow.
I think my sliders. It's actually been a while since I've gone into my options thing and played with them, but I think my sliders are at 16, 14, 9 or something like that. So like,
wow, it's quite low.
Yeah, especially like that's pretty low. And then for somebody,
I've always preferred accuracy over mobility, though.
Yeah, for somebody who's played the game as long as I have, that's like when you consider that, it's extremely like my settings are extremely low. I typically prefer lower sensitivity settings. I know it gives me a disadvantage, but I like it that way. Or I like the way it feels this way.
Do you remember?
So it doesn't really bother me.
Arctic, the YouTuber Arctic, he works at Epic now. He was always a big advocate for low sensitivity. Yeah, and he had some really. He was a really good player, and he was always a big advocate for low sensitivity. Like he always preferred his accuracy.
I didn't know that.
Mobility. Yeah. He had a lot of videos on that. He would never really go above, like 21, 22, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I loved his YouTube stuff actually.
I miss him, man. I miss that voice. I miss that. His tutorials were great. Well, when he went out of Gears, didn't he? He works for Epic now, doesn't he?
Yeah.
On Fortnite. It's essential for a plethora of Gears 5 players this time around, isn't it? Obviously, the bigger the community, the better.
Yep.
Obviously, keeping the game with Gears 5 alive for as long as possible. What does Gears 5 need in terms of incentives to play? Because obviously with Gears 4, we had a lot of the packs, didn't we, and characters that you just bought or earned through, the in-game currency with credits. You didn't have, there was no, get 400 kills with this weapon and then you unlock this variant of this character. Or do you think we need more of that? Because I think they tried to get that in with Gears 4, but didn't have the time. So more reward, more incentives to play and progress through the game. Do you think that's necessary to keep people playing?
So I think progression-based unlocks are definitely needed. One thing though is, so Gears is in that like arena shooter type genre that it's really competing with the likes of Halo, which they haven't had in a while, but Battlefield and Call of Duty, which are like every year, every other year type of thing. So like I feel that they really need to design Gears with the mindset of it having about a 2-year lifespan on it. It's that last year while you're waiting for the next game to come out is going to be a little low in as far as content, but like you need to design it to compete in those first 2 years. So I think it's the progression based unlocks, a steady stream of things that change up the game like DLC or new challenges. But the other thing that I was really surprised that Gears 4 didn't implement, because it's worked so well in many other games, is the daily challenge system. Destiny, or I haven't played much Xbox at all this year, but near the end of last year I was playing Paladins. And like Destiny, I remember I haven't played Destiny 2, but Destiny 1 and Paladins both had the like log in, go get your daily like challenge and complete that for this like XP reward or something like that. Like something that makes a player want to log in every day in order to do something.
Yeah, to say you think, oh wait, I've got to go on Gears today, so I've got to do this, or I don't want to miss out on this, or there's potential XP.
And actually, Fortnite
to keep us playing.
Fortnite does it too. Like I remember, when Fortnite first like launched, I was back at school doing my master's stuff, and I remember even if I didn't have time to play that day, I logged into Fortnite to like get a bounty type thing.
Yeah,
it's like I can't believe that the Coalition hasn't done that. It's some incentive to log in every single day.
Keep people coming back. Well, hopefully we see that in Gears 5.
Yeah.
The user interface in Gears 4, the menu system, I found it quite clunky, quite poor. Some things were a bit unnecessary. It's these abrasive tendencies it had, and I think it could have been a lot better. Do you agree?
I had 3...
Especially with the cards, I just had a lot of problems with it.
Okay, yeah, so the way the card system was designed in a way that showcases, look at how many options you have. It was not...
Yeah.
It wasn't designed in a way to, like, make it user-friendly. It was designed as a showcase type thing. I didn't like that. The lack of a in-game friends list type thing, and the lack of a see previous match scoreboard system that we've had in like all the other Gears games. The lack of that sucked. One of my biggest issues, though, is the way you manage the settings in a horde or a versus lobby. One, the number of settings wasn't that great, but the way you managed them was absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, it wasn't easy.
No, I hated that.
Do you think it could be a bit better for Gears 5 then? Maybe just a few things they need to iron out, I think. A few creases. Season Pass. 2 maps per month, right? Now, the controversies of that and the provocative nature of it was a very polarising time. Every month you were essentially holding your breath for TC, weren't you? You were thinking, are they going to deliver this time? It was rough.
So I remember I was one of the first people, like, the day the Season Pass was announced, I started posting about how much of a ripoff it is and how they aren't explicitly telling you what you're getting. And it could be really good, but it also could potentially really suck. I also remember a developer, I'm not going to say who this was, but somebody messaging me saying, by the way, this is saying at least 24 maps, or it was like at least 2 a month, so we might even do 3 maps some month. And I was just thinking to myself, no, you're not.
No, you're not. I remember that the floodgates of abuse were open. I think Pays Radar, Adam Fletcher, the former director of communications, said that it was a mistake taking on that load of work. I think the studio, I'm not sure if that's true, but the studio just couldn't seem to keep up with it. But who could, though? I mean, I remember reading the announcement. 2 maps a month with a season pass. I was thinking, surely not. Like, have I read that right? Like, it's an unfathomable amount of work.
Yeah, that really did it for me. I don't think... So on Gears 5, like, I'm a hardcore Gears fan. I love Gears. But I don't think I will be buying a season pass for that game unless it is much more explicitly stated up front what you are getting.
Yeah, of course. Because do you remember Impact Dark? I think that was the first one that was released.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, what on earth is this? And I think the video on YouTube was, I think, had more dislikes than to likes. That 7-3 ratio. It was really bad.
But, so the other thing...
A lot of animosity.
The other thing about the Season Pass, though, is it's not even the quality of which maps came out, but they used that Season Pass terminology, which has become very standard in gaming to mean a certain thing. It's, you are getting this content. With Gears 4, the Season Pass meant that you were getting access to those maps in private matches. Everybody got access to all of the maps for versus matchmaking. So like they really sold it. Like, I compared it to the prices of the previous season passes. This was a more expensive, like, on a per content what you're getting basis. This season pass was more expensive than the previous ones.
Really?
And you only were granted access to the private match stuff from this season pass. So
yeah, I don't think they'll go with that model again next time. I'd be baffled. I think they'll definitely release a few maps at a time, or maybe one, single. Maybe they won't even group them. It will just be one every now and again. I'm not sure how they'll do it, but I don't think they'll ever do 2 maps a month ever again. What are your plans for Tac-Com? Are you starting it back up? Are you going to be doing all your guides? What's your Gears 5 timeline? What have you got in mind?
Plans for Tac-Com. So for me, I and Jess and Dodger and Schwartz and everyone, like, we don't see it as like an obligation to do anything for it. Really, Tac-Com's just a hobby. I wanted to try video editing, so I decided to give it a shot. And I like Gears and community stuff, so I decided to do a Gears one. And like even my most recent videos on the Tac-Com channel are 3D printing, because that's what I'm doing right now. But like,
yeah, I've seen those. Those are interesting.
Yeah, and I had a lot of fun doing that. So I don't necessarily feel obligated to like, all right, Gears 5 is coming out, I'm going to do stuff. But I have a feeling that as Gears 5 news starts coming out, I'll start getting sucked back into that like hype.
Yeah, you'll have the passion and drive to make something, right, and talk about it.
Yeah, because right now I have no...
You're a fan, aren't you?
Yeah, there's no drive to do anything right now.
Of course there isn't. And just to wrap this up, we haven't touched on the Easter eggs, have we?
Oh, no.
Now, you guys are highly revered for your Easter egg investigative work. You're an inquisitive bunch when it comes to those. And your most prolific discovery is the locust duck hunt.
Yeah.
Which you discovered 5 years after Gears 3 released. And that was a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
You got an IGN, didn't you? I think they had an article up about it. I think all the gaming outlets did.
Yeah.
They're pretty popular on Reddit.
And actually, Dodger just DM'd me the other day. He saw another YouTube video that went out like a couple weeks ago that featured it. I think the highlight for me on that, though, was two things. One, Dodger, his gamer tag and like our thumbnail or whatever was on the Xbox One dashboard for a while.
Blimey.
Of like in the news feed. It was like, check out Fell Blue Dodger's fine. So that was cool. And then I also love one of the first videos of like top 10 Easter eggs that were found years after they were discovered. We were featured on that. But the commentator person said something along the lines of like, yeah, these just seem like dedicated fans. They don't seem like they're anybody who's like big in the community or good with the developers or anything like that. And I was like, oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Because it's currently sitting just under 140,000 views.
Is it?
How long did it take you guys to discover that? Like, what a find! Like, what was the process like?
So,
because you knew it was out there. The Epic confirmed there was still something that hadn't been found. Is that right?
Yeah. So, I guess that wasn't the first Easter egg we found either. Dodger and I
found a lot.
Dodger and I were the first to find. Let's see, there was one in Judgment with like the disco mannequins. We found the infamous yellow submarine in Gears 3.
I remember that. That was a big moment.
Yeah, we found that. There was Lost City Easter egg in Gears Judgment. And then there were a couple Rum Shadow ones. I think there's actually... There might still be one left in Rum's Shadow.
Yeah, I think there might be.
But yeah, we were looking, and we spent a really long time looking for a yet undiscovered large Easter egg. At that time it was undiscovered. We spent a long time looking for it. Dodger spent at least twice as long searching for it as Jess Schwartz and I did.
I mean, how many hours are we talking here? Like, how much time did you guys actually just put into just roaming around trying to find these? Like, it must have taken ages.
I mean, it's like days of playtime.
Wow.
It was intense. So I was actually doing trivia at Buffalo Wild Wings with a group of friends, and in our group DM chat on Twitter, Dodger starts texting like, "Chaps, get online now." Yeah.
Man, I thought you would have raced online.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an amazing find, man. Like 140,000 views.
Yeah, that shot.
Crazy.
That skyrocketed really quick.
You guys blew up, mate.
We also weren't monetized at that point because that would have been a pretty nice. That would have been a pretty nice paycheck right there.
Yeah, that would have been lovely. Reward for all those hours you spent. Anyway, thank you so much for this.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Being on here. That was a really good talk.
Yeah.
I hope we'll do this again sometime. Thank you.
Yep, I'm sure we will.
Thank you for listening, folks. I really appreciate your time. I'll leave the links to the Tac-Com channel below, and I hope I'll see you next time.